Among his flurry of executive orders, Joe Biden taking action aimed at helping Americans left financially strained by COVID-19. From expanding food stamp benefits to letting Americans refuse a job and still collect on insurance, he even doubled down on his desire for a $15 federal minimum wage. But will this actually help Americans get back to work? Let's bring in Pennsylvania GOP State Representative Mike Jones and owner of Loxley's Restaurant in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Matt DeRose. Gentlemen, both, thank you very much for being here. Matt, let me start with you as a business owner. If you are told from Washington, D.C. that $15 minimum wage is required, all these benefits are going up, and people can file for unemployment for really any reason they deem necessary, what does that do to your ability to stay open and provide good jobs to people?
Well, it clearly makes it a lot more difficult. A national minimum wage that's across the board is illogical to me. You have, $15, for example, in PA. The median household income is $61,000. Well, if you have a couple and they're both working 40 hours, no overtime, they're making $62,000 at that number. So you can see that that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I don't think it's necessary either. We don't have one person making minimum wage in our business.
So the market's driving who you pay and at what level, and ultimately you have margins to meet. And when someone from D.C. tells you it all needs to change, you have to make changes and price it in elsewhere. Representative, what are you hearing from business owners across your district? I mean, when you see these kind of policies, heavy-handed, top-down government handouts effectively, what does that do to the incentive to work and for employers to provide more jobs?
Yeah, our businesses here have just been crushed by the governor's abuse of power, quite frankly, with the business shutdowns and so forth because of COVID, which were over the top here. We just keep piling on these small and mid-sized businesses, and they can't take anymore. The other thing too is, and you know this, it makes no allowance for the difference in geographies. I mean, even within Pennsylvania, much less the nation. $15 in Philadelphia, you're not going to feel that very much. But you get into some of the poor rural areas of Pennsylvania, it just makes no sense at all. I mean, you have to at least adjust for the cost of living. They're just playing politics at the expense of business owners and good economic rationale here.
Matt, it used to be that if an employee was laid off or fired, they could collect unemployment. Now, if they're afraid of COVID or they deem a certain other cause, they can as well. Do you have a concern that employees of yours could make more on unemployment than come back to work? And how does that affect your workforce?
Well, sure. I mean, last summer, that very thing happened. When there was a $600 federal stipend, it's the same issue as the national minimum wage. Why is it the same number across, this great country? Each area should be, adjusted for the standard of living in that area.
And the amazing part about this, gentlemen, is that the one thing business owners really want is the one thing Washington doesn't want to give, which is just to allow them to reopen and do what they do so well responsibly with their employees and their customers. That's what they don't talk about. It's all the government tinkering they do. Representative Mike Jones and Matt DeRose, thank you so much for your insight this morning.
Thank you, Pete.
We appreciate it.